What's up guys, Fosmith here, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that Comics by Perch brought up. He believes that the American comic book industry is eventually going to have to go with a quote-unquote prestige format where the comics are going to cost 25 bucks a pop and they're going to be chock full of goodies, and it's going to be sort of a blind box type deal where they tried to make the quality as high as possible and charge a premium price. Conversely, he also believes that another possible outcome is that they're going to follow the Shonen Jump or Shonen Magazine, Shonen Sunday model, where the comics are going to forego coloring and they're going to focus mainly on story, even if the print quality of the comic is not as good as the floppies are right now in the US. So it'll be like a phone book type anthology comic. And I don't know about the former. I think the former won't work because nobody's going to be willing to pump 25 bucks into a single issue comic where the story sucks. You can make the art as good as possible, but the trend in current American comics is that the story goes nowhere and they're all inconsequential. I think that's the biggest problem. The stories are inconsequential. They don't leave a lasting impact on whatever narrative that's being sold. Wolverine could die in one comic and he'll be back in an alternate universe, or he'll be resurrected. I mean, people levy that complaint at Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball is a comedy when it comes down to it. And the other model that Perch was talking about, the Shonen Jump, or the shonen style in general. If you're not familiar with how comics work in Japan, is Shonen Jump, for example, the people that made Demon Slayer or Bleach or One Piece or Haikyuu, they have about 13 to 17 authors at any given time on their serial anthology, and those authors put out work every week, 16 pages worth. And those are collected into a trade paperback volume after about 8 issues or so. And those are sold as what's known as tankobon, collected works in Japan. Now, Shonen Jump, the one that you see on the newsstands, and yes, there are still newsstands in Japan, and there's a lot more bookstores than America as well, is 290 yen as of today, July 19th, 2021. That price hasn't changed that much over the course of the last 30 years, and that's for 490 pages. And what that means is you get 490 pages, you get essentially 15 or 13 different manga for $2.50. It's less than the price of a floppy right now in America. Now, there's a couple of factors why I don't think this will work, and they're very, very critical, and they're a bottleneck that I don't think can be overcome with the current culture in American comic book prose. One is things need to be done on a dime. They need to be turning on a dime. They need to be done fast, and they need to be responsive to the environment. The reason why I have this screenshot of Naoki Urasawa's sorry. I'm trying to pronounce it the American way, and it's coming out weird. Yawada is because it bolsters the point I'm about to make. Yawada is a comic about a high school girl that becomes an Olympian in judo. And this was serialized back in the late 1980s. It was very popular. It was in Shonen Sunday, which is famous for like Ranma or Inuyasha and any number of other manga. But within the story of Yawada, there is a character, a Soviet character named Anna Teleshkova. Teleshkova, yeah, Anna Teleshkova. And during the serialization, and remember this, it's serialized in a weekly, so it comes out every week. The Soviet Union actually collapsed during the middle of the Olympics. And what was amazing about this is that the very next week, right after the Soviet Union collapsed, that was reflected in the story. Anna, at first, comes off as a very domineering Arnold Schwarzenegger bully type character. But you find out that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, she came from a very poor background. And if she won a gold medal at the Olympics, I believe it was the Seoul Olympics at the time, that she would essentially receive enough money from the government that she and her family could live the rest of her lives in comfort. So it's this kind of feedback that I don't think is present in the current American comic book industry, nor I don't think it's ever been there. Because if you look at like the Diamond solicitations, they're talking about stuff that's coming out in October or November or December. That's way out there. Think about the turnaround time that you have for production. You could write something that's topical and it'll be completely irrelevant at that time. That's not to say that stories need to have topical subjects to remain relevant. I mean, a good story is a good story, but it's connected to other aspects. Essentially, if you have a story that's not working, that the audience does not find engaging at all, if you're making comics that are going to be published 3 or 4 months out, there's no way for you to actually adjust to that unless you have a huge time gap between issue to issue. And that in and of itself makes people lose interest, especially in this day and age with social media where everybody's attention span is a lot shorter than it used to be. That's one aspect as to why I don't think what Comic Perch is proposing or is theorizing the direction that the American comic book industry is going to go in will ever work. I don't think there's that ability to turn on a dime, to be that agile, let's say, in putting out work. The other aspect is this. The reason why you have manga artists in Japan that are multi-millionaires, and this is before even any royalties from other extraneous sources, is because they're making 10% off of every trade paperback / tankobon they sell. So if you hear stories about manga artists that are just starting out in Shonen Jump or Shonen Magazine or Shonen Sunday or what have you, they have to hire, unless they're really, really talented and really fast, 99.9% of manga artists have to hire anywhere between 3 to 4 to 5 assistants to help them with screen toning or inking or erasing or backgrounds. And initially, they're only paid a page rate, which varies greatly from the magazine that they're being serialized on. But I think the highest page rate in even Shonen Jump right now is about $300 per page. I may be wrong. It's not something that's disclosed that often. But what this means is until your tankobon / trade paperback / collected works, your own volume of your manga comes out, you're in the red. You're not making money. So a manga artist's livelihood hinges on that trade paperback selling. Now, there's lots of exceptions to this. If you're part of Jump, for example, I believe they have a contract where they pay you a salary outside of the page rate. But that's not the case for a lot of manga publishers. So, what's considered a minimum in order to get by, in order to make a decent living? Well, on average, any trade paperback / tankobon in Japan, the first run is about 20,000 copies. 20,000. Granted, they're sold for a lot less than most trade paperbacks in the US are. They're usually 410 yen. And you get back 10% of royalties on that. So you make 40 cents per copy sold. So you have to, number one, sell that initial 20,000 copies. But you have to have reprints in order to become rich and successful. I'm not sure how the system would work. The proposed system that Perch is talking about in the American comic book industry would work. But trade paperbacks in the American comic book industry right now, they sell in the low thousands. These people are not going to be able to make money or sustain themselves. I think this is this approach to making comics in the U.S. is dead in the water. You're going to have to take a side job if they attempt to do this, or places like Marvel or DC are going to have to give their talent a stipend or a salary, a set salary, which I don't think will ever happen, since they're essentially just work for hire. They're freelancers. And DC and Marvel are barely making any money as it is, if they're making money at all, based off of just the comics. So those are just my 2 cents. It's been a reaction to Comics by Perch, again. Well, this has been Fosmith. If you like videos like this, and if you want to see more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out. If you disagree, or if you have any comments or questions, please leave a comment. I'll see you next time. Peace.